I went ahead and bought the best possible gaming PC £100 can buy from eBay. In this very small box, and for the price I paid, the specs are actually quite decent. So let's take a look and see what we have inside. I thought to myself, how good of a gaming PC can you really get for only £100? With GPU prices making that near impossible, the next best thing is a pre-built. This option, lackluster to some, is actually the way forward and could bag us a sweet deal. And today, this is what I believe is the best price to performance system for around that £100 mark. Meet the HP Pavilion TG010011NA. Man, HP, invest in a naming system, please. A rather nondescript tower with some hidden potential, with an i5-9400F GTX 1660 Super, 8GB of RAM, a 256GB SSD and a 2TB hard drive. This makes it quite the exceptional deal. Released in 2020 for a much higher price tag, I believe it still has some use in it. Unboxing aside, the PC looks well kept with only minor scratches. In fact, it looks hardly used, as you'd expect there to be scratches near the ports. For only £100, this could be a killer deal, but let's investigate further and of course take a look at this 5-year-old gaming rig. Well, here we have the rather unassuming HP Pavilion desktop, so let's see if it turns on, and hopefully we didn't get scammed, because for the price I paid for, it is kind of mind-blowing. So let's turn it on and see if there's any signs of life. Okay, so there's a green light. That looks quite nice, to be fair. But will we be able to get into Windows? Let's have a look. So yeah, like I mentioned before, the price is kind of mind-blowing. For the price I paid for, which is around £100, you can literally sell the GPU and get your money back. So if this doesn't work out, I can literally flip the GPU, get my money back, so it's not that bad of an investment. Hopefully it does turn on, or else I won't be able to make a video. It's been around a minute and there's nothing on the screen. Okay. Looks like there is something on the screen, but for some reason it's just black. I mean, there's nothing here. It is into Windows. Let's see if we can get into the BIOS. Okay, so let's just spam the escape key and hopefully we'll be able to. Okay, there you are. Okay, so we have an i5-9400F and it is detecting 8GB of RAM. Okay, that's a good sign. And of course, yes, we have a HP Pavilion Gaming PC TG0100XXX, and the BIOS revision date is the 9th of June 2021. So everything is working. That is a good sign. I think what we'll do now is just reinstall Windows. I mean, I was going to do that anyways, because who knows what the previous owner was using on Windows. So you know what, let's just do a clean install and just worry about it later. So let me get my USB stick and install Windows 11, and hopefully we'll see what this thing is like. Alright, let's just boot into the USB so we can hopefully install Windows 11. So there you go. And we should be into Windows 11 momentarily. Well, that took a while, but anyways, we're finally into Windows 11 and we can hopefully test this thing out. But before we do, let's give it a little disassembly so we can take a look at those components in detail and hopefully give it a clean if it needs it. So yeah, with all of that said, let's take a look. Flipping HP, man, honestly, like, who the hell uses these kind of screws? Don't make sense. It literally don't make sense. Like, what? Why? Anyways, this is what the internals of the HP look like. Just bring it up close so you can have a better look at the components. Would you take a look at that? So yeah, it does indeed have one stick of 8GB of DDR4 RAM. And of course, the 1660 Super, which I think is a single fan. Yes, it is. And that is caked in a thick layer of dust, so we do need to clean that up. But before that, let's take out the heatsink and take a look at that i5. First things first, let's disconnect the fan. Okay, and let's just go ahead and unscrew all of these annoying star-shaped screws. And on the other side, just so you alleviate pressure on all areas. So there you have it, there's a heatsink. And yes, it does need a good clean, so we'll clean that up. There we have the i5, let's take it out of the socket. Oh, there you are. That is the i5-9400F. Well, you can't really see it because of the thermal paste, but let's just give that a quick wipe. And there you have it, the i5-9400F, 2.9 GHz. It's not bad, is it? Okay, let's put it back in, nice and carefully. Let's take a look at that stick of RAM. Comes out easily, as you'd expect. So this is a 2666, 8GB stick of RAM. Okay, we will be upgrading this to 16, obviously, because, you know, 8GB these days ain't really enough, so 16 is the optimum amount in 2025, and hopefully it will fare better in games and benchmarks. Just a small upgrade, here we have 16GB of 3200 MHz DDR4 RAM, and it will work perfectly in this HP gaming system. So let's put it in and take a look at this GPU. There you have it. Okay, let's take a look at this GPU and see what it's all about. So first things first is disconnecting that PCIe connector. Okay. Oh, it's a bit rigid, isn't it? Oh, alright, there you are. And of course, take out that screw that holds it in place. Alright. Should just pop out. Oh, that was not nice whatsoever. But there you are. There is the 1660 Super. You can literally sell this GPU and get your money back. That's how ridiculous this deal is. It is quite crazy, but yeah, this really needs a clean. So let's just give that a little dust and we should be up and ready. And there you have it. I doubt this GPU has ever seen a brush in its life, but now it is good to go. So let's put this thing back in and test and see what this computer is all about. So there you have the NVMe SSD, you have the RAM, you of course have the CPU, and the very dusty PCIe connector. And the 2TB hard drive is just hiding under the bracket, there you go. So it is a Toshiba drive, which I'm not fond of because you know what, Toshiba, they do not have a good track record with hard drives. But anyways, I digress. Alright, there you are. And finally, let's put some MX4 on the CPU and we should be golden. Get the back panel and we can finally turn this thing on. You know, I would have really liked it if they made this toolless, but I guess HP has their own ways and we can't complain about that, can we? Alright, so there you are. So the PC is up and ready. Let's turn this thing on. It looks like everything is up and ready, so we can finally start to use this gaming PC, and I must say that I'm quite surprised that everything went quite smoothly. I mean, I was expecting a little setback here and there, but no, everything went, as I said, quite smoothly. So yeah, let's take a look at the specs and see what we're working with. We of course have the i5-9400F CPU at 2.9 GHz with 6 cores and 6 threads. So I don't think this has hyperthreading, but the fact that it does have 2 extra cores means that it would be beneficial in some games. As for the memory, we have 16GB of 2666 mega transfers per second DDR4. And that is upgraded from the 8GB that we had before. Of course, 16GB will fare a lot better in the games that we test later on. As for the disk, we have a 2TB Toshiba hard drive, which will be quite useful to store games and other kind of files that we do have. And of course, for the C drive, we do have a Kioxia 256GB NVMe. As for the Wi-Fi, we have wireless AC, nothing too impressive, but for the GPU, we do have a GTX 1660 Super with 6GB of GDDR6 VRAM. So all in all, looks like a quite impressive package. Here we have Cinebench R23 running on the HP Pavilion. Let's see how well those 6 cores and 6 threads really do. So let's start the test and see what score we get. Well, it looks like we got a score of 5,495, so just a little bit below an i7-7700K. So all in all, not a bad score whatsoever. Next we have Unigine Valley Benchmark on the HP Pavilion on high settings at system resolution. So let's see how well that GPU really does. Off the bat, we're around 120-130 FPS, which isn't too bad whatsoever. Okay, there was a little dip over there, but when in more open areas, we do get a much more stable FPS. I mean, look at that, 154, 164, 160. So around the 150s, 160s is honestly where we are at right now. I mean, the GPU temperatures are pretty stable, around the mid 60s. The wattage is around 120 watts, which isn't too bad. So honestly, all in all, it looks pretty good, but let's find out and see what we actually get by the end of this test. So there we have it, we got an average FPS of 124.4 with a score of 5,204. I mean, that is not bad whatsoever. The minimum FPS is 28.6 and the maximum FPS is 204.5. So a few fluctuations here and there, but nothing too major. I mean, I must say this is quite surprising, so let's move ahead and play some games to see how well that GPU fares. Being quite impressed with the graphical performance thus far, let's test out a bit of Minecraft and see how well it does. I mean, so far we're getting around 614 FPS, which is honestly mind-blowing. I mean, look at that, 440, 388, okay, so a few fluctuations here and there, but nothing too major. It is staying around that 450 mark, 490. Honestly, this is perfectly playable. I don't think I mentioned the settings. We're currently working at 12 chunks all around with full screen, VSync disable and max frame rate at unlimited. As for the quality, we're on fancy graphics and everything else is on default. Particles all, smooth lighting enabled. So yeah, as you'd expect. And this is the FPS that we're getting. I mean, that is quite incredible, don't you think? But yeah, don't undermine these GPUs because you can definitely play some games on them. So here we have two shader packs. We have Astral X by Lex Boost, and we of course have Silda's Vibrant Shaders Lite, and we'll test out both of them and see how well they fare. Starting off with Astral X, which is a bit more intensive, but let's see how well they do. So not looking too bad whatsoever. We're getting around 54, 55. I mean, the temperature of the GPU is around 60 degrees, which isn't too bad. I mean, I'd say the ambient temperature of this room is around 18, 19, so that does help it somewhat. It is currently using around 120 watts of power, which is quite intensive. But yeah, just playing around. There's a bit of motion blur, but you can disable that. Getting around 60 FPS there. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll get a 60 FPS average while using Astral X, but the fact that we can play it just quite normally, just, you know, killing a few animals, breaking a few blocks here and there, honestly not too bad. And flying around, there's not a big delta, around 50 FPS, 44, 45. Let's go into the water and see if that changes anything. Okay, going into the water, we're getting around 52, 54, 55 FPS, so yeah, it doesn't really change much. I mean, water is more on the intensive side while playing on shaders, so the fact that it can still keep up is quite impressive. Let's test out Silda's Lite and see how well they do. And in Silda's Lite, we're getting a much more respectable FPS. I mean, look at that, 191. That is quite impressive. 150, 160, 166. Going into the water, it doesn't dip that much, which is good to see. I mean, there's not that much to say. I mean, the GPU is around 67 degrees. It's using around 97 watts of power. The game looks fabulous. I mean, would you have a look at that? Look at these trees. Look how vibrant they look. But yeah, I mean, playing Minecraft like this, I'd definitely play it on Silda's Lite because we're getting around 200 FPS while flying around. That is quite good. So yeah, all in all, Minecraft runs pretty well on the HP Pavilion. Let's test out another game and see how well it does there. Of course, we got to test out Fortnite, so let's see how it runs on the maximum settings, and of course, performance mode. Here we have Fortnite on performance mode, and this is how it's running. So let me show you the settings that we're working with. So yes, we are on performance mode, lower graphical fidelity, and everything is on low. So this is how it's running at the minute. And currently we're getting around 114, 115 FPS with a few studs here and there, but that's to be expected when you're in the lobby with a lot of people around you. So here we're just landing down now, and this is how we're doing. So we're currently getting around 160 FPS, just kind of doing nothing, just wandering around. And the GPU temp is around 56 degrees with 70 watts of power, so that isn't too bad. I mean, the CPU and the GPU aren't really bottlenecking each other, which is a good sign. And yeah, we are getting about 120, 150, 160 FPS there. So let's see how we do when we get in a bit of combat. So let's find someone and hopefully we can take him down. Okay, as soon as I say that, the game just stutters for like 5 seconds, which is not a good sign, but okay, it's happening once again. Okay, this is not good. Come on, Fortnite, come on, be easy on me. I mean, yeah, I don't really want to test out Fortnite any further because, yeah, on performance mode, it keeps on stuttering, which is, of course, not playable whatsoever. So let's test out another game and see if we have any luck with that. Well, here I am installing an older version of the game ready drivers, so let's see if that fixes the issues that we were facing in Fortnite. Since playing Fortnite, I mean, the whole computer has been unresponsive at the minute. I mean, all I'm trying to do is extract this flipping file, and it's just giving me a flipping headache. Okay, now it's working, but yeah, see? It's just not working, is it? I have no clue what on earth is going on at the minute. I mean, look at that. There was another stutter right there. So hopefully me installing an older version of the driver will fix things. Who the hell knows? Let's take a look and see if that's the case. I will say, as soon as I got into safe mode, everything is working as normal. There's no freezes or random glitches. So I guess it is the driver. So hopefully me uninstalling the newer driver and installing an older driver will fix things. So yeah, let's take a look and see if that's the case. Anyways, I think we can forget about Fortnite for now and play a bit of Last of Us. So currently we're on, let me have a look for you real quickly, we're on the medium to low settings, which is what was pre-selected before even playing. So let's see how it performs. And currently we're getting around 80, 79, 77 FPS, just kind of moving around in the city. And honestly, this performance isn't too bad. We're currently using about 14-15 gigabytes of RAM, which is basically all of the RAM, and the GPU is at 71 degrees and it's using about 102 watts of power, which is quite a lot. But yeah, honestly, the game runs pretty flawlessly and does look quite good despite being on low to medium settings. Honestly, you could probably play it like this and there's no issue with it. Also, another thing to know is that the GPU and CPU aren't being bottlenecked at the minute at around 88% and the CPU at around 100%. So that's... I don't think I mentioned that we're on 1080p, but it's rendering it as 720p. So despite all of that, it still looks pretty good. What do you guys think? Here we have GTA 5 Enhanced running on high settings on the HP Pavilion. Let's see how well we do in the benchmarks. So currently we're working at around 113, 115 FPS, which honestly isn't too bad for what we're working with. I mean, you have to remember that this is a 6-year-old GPU, so the fact that we are getting above 100 FPS honestly is quite impressive. The GPU is around 71 degrees and it's using around 120 watts of power, and we're currently using around 12 gigabytes of RAM. Let me know down in the comments what you think about GTA 5 Enhanced. And I will say during that test, the game was completely stable, no stutters or any lag spikes whatsoever, unlike Fortnite, which was completely unplayable. So yeah, thumbs up for GTA 5 Enhanced. And finally, here we have Cyberpunk 2077, which is our most intensive game that we are going to be playing today. So let's see how well we do. So currently we are working with ultra settings, which is quite surprising. I mean, I didn't think that Cyberpunk would select these kind of settings, but hey, who knows, let's see how we do in the benchmark. Alright, so currently we're getting around 48 FPS in the more enclosed area, which honestly isn't too bad. I mean, I was hoping for around 60, but to be honest, we're on the ultra settings at low ray tracing, so 40 FPS is actually quite impressive, and the GPU is at 67 degrees. That's one thing I've not really talked about, is the temps haven't been that high. You'd think that with HP Pavilion, with the airflow that it does have, the temps would be like skyrocketing and everything like that, but honestly 70 degrees is quite respectable. It's currently using around 120 watts of power, and the CPU is also at 70 degrees at 47 watts, which is lower than expected, and it's currently using around 11.5 gigabytes of RAM. So yeah, all in all, it doesn't look too bad so far, and the GPU and CPU aren't bottlenecking as well. Honestly, I'm quite surprised because I thought Cyberpunk would be the most demanding game here, but it's doing quite well. Like, we're getting around 51 in the more open areas, 53, 56, 57, and the latency also isn't too high. So all in all, I think this test is pretty good. So there you have it. So the average FPS is 53.07. The minimum I can't really make out, but the maximum is 66.71. It would have been better with 60, but hey, with low ray tracing, ultra settings on everything, you can't really complain. So all in all, I think this test is a success and a lot better than Fortnite. So there you have it, the HP Pavilion with a 1660 Super 5 years later for only £100. What do you guys think? Honestly, I think it is quite impressive for what it packs. For only £100, you get the 1660 Super, you get a pretty good CPU. I mean, I was quite impressed with the CPU results. And the gameplay, honestly, wasn't too bad whatsoever. Fortnite was here and there, it did crash quite a bit, and we couldn't really rectify that, unfortunately. But I do attribute that to drivers or possibly Epic Games, because all the other games work perfectly fine. So yeah, what do you think? Leave a comment down below. Be sure to like, subscribe, and also leave a comment on what you think about the HP Pavilion. We did hit 10,000 subscribers recently, and I can't put into words how grateful I am for that. So yeah, let's continue that support. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.